Hey guys, welcome to another ARK video. Today I decided to do something a little more off-piece rather than doing, with scripts and then expanding off of it. This time I've just got a list of things that I want to talk about. And this is all to do with the biomes that they announced in the ARK Digest 10, I think it was. And then they it was ARK Digest 10 because then they continued on talking about it in the 11th one. Because these biomes are going to be an interesting addition to the map, because we're going to have the winter biome, the northeast section, and then we're going to have the swamps running through pretty much the centre of the map now. And these biomes do look like they're going to change the map quite substantially, at least, well, especially in those areas, but the whole sort of geography of the map's going to modify slightly to fit these new things in, I'm assuming. And looking at them, there's been a lot of sort of talk about them in the forums underneath the posts and everything, because people are worried about their bases being lost and stuff. And from what I can understand, for the most part, most bases in the zones won't be massively affected from what the post's saying, but it might be a good idea to move everything that you value to another base outside of the zones that are being changed. It's not going to affect me personally, because I don't have any bases in the zones, but I do feel kind of bad for the people who spent ages building a really nice base in like the wintry bit, and then it's going to just be like demolished by a mountain or a tree. Gets added in. So I do feel bad for the people building there, so I can understand why they're not so happy about it. But in all fairness, this is a constantly updating and changing game, so nothing's ever set in stone, I guess. As I mentioned, the biomes are the wintry, snowy biome and the swamp biome that runs through the middle of the map. And there's been talk about what these things could actually add to the map, not just as like a visual thing. I read a post on the Steam post, that's the thing, about like adding mushrooms into the swamps, because currently we just get the mushrooms from mining crystals on top of like the mountains and caves. It would make sense for the mushrooms to actually be in the swamp biomes, because they naturally occur there, and it would actually give them a reason to put the mushrooms in rather than just having like glowy ones in a cave or something, which is another alternative they could do. But then it made me think about what they could add into the winter biome to sort of complement that as being stuff in the swamp biome. Is adding like holly berries, or at least an equivalent for the island, because holly berries IRL are poisonous, so you could make like poison arrows with them possibly. So some sort of alternative added into the snow biome, so then there's like people would migrate to the snow biome to get these specific berries to make like poison arrows, which should be an interesting thing for PvP, I guess, because the bow is sort of an earlier weapon, so it would allow people to really get into that quite early on. Have the poison arrows do like damage and then have like a dot effect, so it deals damage over time. That would be quite a good thing, I think, would be quite interesting. And also I was looking at the map that they give you for the biomes update when they were talking about it, and there's like this one little tiny dot located right in the middle of like the swamp biome thing, where it looks like the swamp biome doesn't affect that bit, but there's like just one tiny dot within the entire swamp biome where the swamp isn't there. So what's there? Is there a rock? Is there a big ass tree? I mean, this is like a tiny dot on the map, but I imagine like if you're there, that's quite a decent sized area. I'm wondering what's actually in that area, and I might try and figure that out in game and get back to you on that one. But it's like one little dot, and I wondered why that isn't a thing. And then once I'd finished looking at the map and being like, what the fuck's the dot there? I started looking at how the creatures will sort of change, because obviously mammoths aren't going to stay where it's like warm, and they'd migrate to the colder area. And from the ARK Digest 11, I think it was, they said that the mammoths would sort of move across to the snowy zone. So I'm hoping when they actually introduce the biomes, the mammoths start sort of migrating, because that would be a really cool thing to watch, just the mammoths migrating from like the top center of the map all the way to the east side. And then the mammoths in the rest of the world will be replaced with those like giant horse dinosaur things that I forgot the name of. There'll be one on screen, it'll be fine, you know what I'm talking about. But I want to know if there's going to be like specific effects added, like snow on the backs of the mammoths and on the saber-tooths and things, because I wasn't really sure when they started talking about that in the digests. I don't know, I was a bit confused, but I really hope there is like snow effects on the dinosaurs, because having like snow on the back of your mammoth and stuff and on the saber-tooths would look really cool. And then that brought me to wondering about, will creatures avoid these areas? Because I imagine things like the dinosaurs that are like cold-blooded creatures, probably going to avoid the snowy area. So the snowy area would probably just be populated by mammoths, Argentavius, saber-tooths, and then anything else that has fur that can survive there. I kind of doubt a dodo. But then it's like, aren't other creatures going to avoid the swamps as well? Because the swamps are very sort of boggy grounds, IRL, so I don't know, they're going to be a movement penalty throughout the swamps. So things like, I don't know, raptors might avoid it because obviously they're all based around speed, so then everything is a really boggy swamp and they can't move as fast. Their sort of like attack strategy doesn't work very well, so I imagine they probably avoid the swamps. I wondered, like, if you guys out there have any sort of opinions upon this, like what creatures would avoid these areas, and will it sort of change how we find creatures throughout the world? Because obviously some creatures are going to avoid the snow because it's cold, and some creatures are probably going to avoid the swamp because imagine the swamps are going to be pretty populated by like the Meganuras and all those things, and the Sarcos, and sort of more like giant-ish creatures that sort of don't really care. And I imagine the Spino probably is going to hang around with the swamps occasionally when it sort of migrates away from the rivers and things, as it does. So that's sort of all I have to sort of rant about, and I quite enjoyed making this, going off piece and sort of just ranting for 6 minutes. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any opinions on this, I'd like you to leave them below in the comments section on YouTube or Steam or wherever you find this video. Because I really would like to know your opinions on things and what your ideas are about these things and what they could add into the biomes, and any ideas on what that dock could be, which creatures, you know, what special effects you'd like to see on creatures and things, like if they get muddy in the swamps or something. So thank you for watching, hope you leave your opinions below, and I'll see you next time.